I thought I would share some of the things that I did that helped me to achieve some of the things I mentioned to you when it comes to my parenting. One of the things was don't call them what you don't want them to become. And what I mean by that is you don't want them to become a liar. You don't want them to become disrespectful. You don't want them to become these things. And so I really focused on not calling them out of their name. And I'm not just talking about, name calling. I mean, any of the things. So, as an example, I remember one of my sons had done something that was a little disrespectful or that could be construed as disrespectful, right? And I said to him, listen, I said, that what you did was disrespectful or could be construed as being disrespectful. And you're not even a disrespectful person. So I don't understand how you arrived at deciding to respond that way. And, I would say a little bit more and then I would reiterate once again. And you're not even a disrespectful person. So that doesn't even make sense that you would do that. And I even remember one time saying, and so if the disrespectful people find out you're walking around impersonating them, they're going to be disappointed and, they could bring down some harsh punishments on you. But just always kind of revamping it, focusing on the behavior and working on the behavior, working on correcting the behavior and not making what they did a direct reflection of who they are. Okay. I wanted my sons to understand that just because they made a mistake didn't mean that they were a fuck up. I wanted them to know that just because they may not have told the truth doesn't make them a liar, right? These were actions that were separate from who they actually were. And I wanted to make sure they understood that so that they wouldn't grow up and just think, well, I'm disrespectful anyway, so why bother type of thing. Another thing I did is I never professed to know it all. I definitely maintained my authority, which I think part of is just my natural way of being. I honestly believe I know what it is I need to know in the moment where the knowing is necessary. I'm not professing to know everything, and I'm not saying I know everything. I just feel very confident that my life was created and my life is constantly evolving in a way that I have all that I need in the moment that I need it. And so I guess I posture myself as someone who has authority. However, I never wanted my kids to think that I was infallible. And so if I made a mistake, I apologize for it. If I didn't know how to do something, I would let them know, but I would let them know in a way that was still very grounded in my authority. Like I would say, well, you know what, mom is sorry for that. I really didn't want it to come to that. And I really would have rather responded this way. Or I might say, well, I know, your friends' parents may do that type of thing, but honestly, sweetheart, mom doesn't have the capacity for that. I mean, my mind right now is so tired. And so I always, did that. I always made sure they understood that while I was the authority figure in their life, that I didn't have all the answers and I wasn't above apologizing or above making mistakes. Um, I also made sure that they understood that it was important to be honest about how they felt. And I knew that the only way that I could teach them how to be honest about how you feel is for me to be honest about how I feel. And so there were times when there was a baseball game or a t-ball game that I didn't go to because I was physically and mentally exhausted. And the very idea of my husband taking both of the boys to this game and me being able to sit in a quiet house to gather myself was everything that I needed. And so I didn't allow my quote unquote obligations or society's idea or what I thought my son would think of me to keep me from staying home and collecting myself like I needed, doing that self-care. Even though I didn't know what it was, I just knew I didn't have the capacity to go out in public after a day full of homeschooling and momming and all of the things. And I think that it also gave them an understanding that a person doesn't have to show up everywhere and do everything that you ask in order for them to be valuable in your life. I never wanted them to become people that constantly always show up, never consider themselves. And I also didn't want them to put that on other people. And so, when the time was appropriate, I explained, check my resume, basically. I show up all the time in all of the ways. It's okay if I don't go to every single baseball game that you have. You'll be okay. And for myself, I had to understand that it's gonna be okay if other moms are looking for me and they don't see me there, because everybody don't live my life. Everybody don't have my same revelation. It's moms that's showing up at the game and their fuse is shorter than mine, but they don't have the capacity, they don't have the strength to be able to say, I'm not gonna be there. I'm not going to be there, and I'm not bringing cupcakes. Now, the fourth thing that I want to share, tip that I find to be probably foundational and the most important, is to treat them with respect. If you package everything up in that, I'm going to treat my children with respect, it really does change how you respect yourself, and it changes how you respond to them. Well, Lonnie, these kids these days, well, they're your kids, and they are learning about life through you. And so if these kids these days, there is definitely something that you can do to change that. So don't rely on, well, girl, these teenagers, don't rely on that as a cop out, because it's easy to go with. I mentioned that in one of my other videos. I just one day thought to myself, okay, so every teenager everywhere disrespects their parents and don't know what the hell they talking about. Everywhere? Like every single one. And so it made me get about the process of figuring out how to maneuver that. And one of the things that foundationally that I learned is to respect them. I give my children the same respect that I want. Just like I don't want somebody that I'm friends with or that I associate with to take one time that I couldn't show up for them and come act like I never show up for them. And I've had that happen to me many, many times in many friendships, where the one event I can't go to, you act like I haven't always been there for you and always shown up for you. And so I checked their resume. They're having a tough time, Alana. Children have a tough time just like adults have a tough time. Girl, they ain't got no mortgage to pay. They don't have to. They probably don't. However, they do have things that they themselves are challenged with. And if I can respect my children, then I can give them more of a foundation to grow on and a foundation to build on than if I just make up uh, this thought process that my children are just supposed to do what I say, and if they don't do what I tell them to do, then by some stretch or by some way they must be disrespectful. And in a lot of ways, I learned that as parents, we can be very disrespectful. And then we wonder when our kids get older why, we try to call them, they go off to college, and we don't hear from them for a week because they tired. They're tired. Well, I did all of this, and yeah, and you never let them forget about it. You let them know about it every chance you got. All the sacrifices you made. Yeah. And we know you made sacrifices. I know I made sacrifices, but I'm not using those things as an excuse for me to berate my children when they don't act the way that I want them to act. I instead try to figure out what is the thing, what is the shift here, what is the thing that's not being connected, and I try to get that thing connected because I'm a grown-ass woman. I'm mature, and if I can pause myself and collect myself to be able to better relate to an adult or a friend or a family member, certainly I can operate in love and do that for the people that I am co-creating life with. Certainly I can do that. And what I've seen, my sons are now 16 and 21, is that they have a lot of respect for themselves. The choices that they make and the things that they do, and the way that they say no to people, and the way that they say yes to themselves, and how compassionate they are and giving they are. And but still at the same time, they maintain who they are. I'm sorry. Y'all know it's like Wild Kingdom back here. I looked up and there's a lizard that's peeking from behind one of the bricks in the fence. Like, when she says children, is she talking about me? Anyway, I hope this has been helpful for you. Please let me know in the comments if you have any other tips or tricks you might need or things you might want me to address. I have 21 and a half years invested in this. And according to my children, this is from the customers. This is from customers. My customers say that I have done a good job. So thanks for tuning in.